Points America. Jolene, this was quite the experience.
We were here at 2 o'clock, and this is my observation. When I first got here, the animal had no water bowl out. And he had been sitting here from what I can't confirm this, but he had been sitting there for an hour before I had gotten here. That was the people in the crowd that had been here.
Oh, wow.
But I can't verify that myself.
So that,
I can verify from 2 o'clock.
Okay, so 2, and what time is it now?
7:46.
I mean, this dog was out here for a good 6-7 hours then.
He had no water bowl in front of him. The other thing that I noticed was, and I kept track of this because I was writing it down, in the entire time that we were here, he did not take that dog off the leash to go to the bathroom until 7:15. I also must say that there's a lot of noise going on, and being a person that works with pit bulls, this is not conducive to the happiness of a dog. There's too much noise, too many crowds, and I felt bad for the dog.
Is that we are getting between Cruelty dog and Mr. Fernandez and money. We are informing people that the dog is being abused, do not give them money, so we do really feel that we were able to cut down on their profit. I really want to argue the letter of the law. There are other people that are saying, well, let's go to Albany and strengthen the law. That is an absolute. Of course the law should be strengthened. Next time we come, Jolene, we're going to have posters that say coffee is hot. We're going to have a poster that says free coffee.
Over here, bye guys. Have a good weekend. Enjoy.
Hey, you guys coming back tomorrow?
Of course.
With the New York Animal Rights Alliance America, here to outline for you exactly why I believe, and my group believes, that Cruelty dog is definitely being abused with the law that is already in place. Article 26, Section 353 states, overdriving an animal, depriving the animal of necessary sustenance, overdriven, and overload. We heard from eyewitness accounts today this dog was not permitted to relieve himself. He was forced to sit in a position with loud noise for, what was it, 6 to 7 hours today. Article 26, Section 353B, inclement weather shall mean weather conditions that are likely to adversely affect the health or safety of the dog, including but not limited to extreme heat and cold. Dogs that are left outdoors. Now, I'll remind everyone, when you do go to the zoo, a lot of times when you see the animals in their enclosures, they have the ability to go into something like a cave to escape any kind of inclement weather. Obviously, Cruelty dog, which is not being regulated by the USDA whatsoever, has no ability to escape the elements of the weather that he's exposed to. The dog should have ready access and the ability to enter a house, apartment building, office building, or any other type of permanent structure with insulation. Obviously, for 6-7 hours today, he had no ability whatsoever to go anywhere. It is also obvious that with this extreme heat today, it was 80 degrees, extremely humid, that in addition to the dog being subjected to those conditions, he was also made to wear restrictive garments. He also had a pipe in his mouth that restricted him from panting. This is a natural condition that a dog does in heat. Article 26, Section 353B. For all dogs that are left outside in inclement weather, a structure that they should have access to, that obviously Cruelty dog did not have access to, that it be constructed to allow freedom of movement to make normal postural adjustments, including the ability to stand up, turn around, and lie down with limbs outstretched. So not only did he not have a structure to escape to, the structure should be modified so that it's large enough to accommodate him to lay down if he should so choose. From eyewitness testimony today and gobs of video proof, the dog was not provided with a constant source of water. The law states that proper sustenance must be provided to the dog according to the weather and inclement conditions. In extreme heat, the dog is subject to hyperthermia without adequate amount of water. Water that any veterinarian will tell you, a dog should have access to water 24/7. Likewise, with cold weather, it's just as important in cold weather that a dog is provided with water 24/7. That means when you do see those dogs that are out there, because it gives the body fluid and prevents the dog actually from going into hypothermia. So when you do see dogs out there in cold weather, the dog should also be provided with water, not to the point, if it's frozen, then obviously it's in violation. Addressing the issue with the Department of Consumer Affairs. The definition on subchapter 27, 20-452, to vend, is to hawk, peddle, sell, lease, offer to sell or lease at retail goods or services other than food in a public space. Obviously, this family was here today selling pictures of the dog. The police officer I spoke to wanted to try to make a case that the money was going to charity. Obviously, that has no bearing whatsoever where the money's going to go. He's sitting here profiting off of the dog, exploiting the dog in this fashion to make money. That is peddling. That is being a vendor. That is in violation of the Department of Consumer Affairs. 2-464 Section K. For the purposes of this subdivision, but not limited to, unusually heavy pedestrian or vehicular traffic, existence of any obstructions in the public space. Obviously, there was a huge amount of people that they were standing on the side, but they were obstructing pedestrian traffic. Subchapter 27, 20-474.3, failure to produce a license. Failure by a general vendor who is required to be licensed pursuant to the provisions of this subchapter to exhibit upon demand a general vendor's license. It is obvious that Coffee Dog's abuser has no license whatsoever to exploit and abuse Coffee Dog for money. The police department should violate the abuser on these grounds alone and should never ever be permitted on ball game perimeter property to exhibit and exploit Coffee Dog. This is a dangerous precedent, ladies and gentlemen. What if we had 50 more people now say that they're going to put their dog in this horrendous clothing and garments, shove things in their mouths, stand there and collect money? That is an extremely poor example to set for the city of New York. Let's move on to the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA. Even if it was determined that Coffee Dog was not being abused, which we've already established, I believe, in my opinion, that the dog is being abused, but even if the dog was not being abused, and even if the abuser had a vendor's license, this scenario would still be subject to a myriad of regulations by the United States Department of Agriculture. And I quote, "Many venues encourage or permit the public to come into contact with animals, resulting in millions of human-animal contacts each year. The settings that are regulated include, but are not limited to, county or state fairs, petting zoos, animal swap meets, pet stores, zoological institutions, circuses, carnivals, farm tours, and livestock birthing exhibits, educational exhibits, schools, and wildlife photo opportunities, all of which are subject to USDA approval and inspection." I couldn't get a hold of the USDA today, but I can guarantee you that I will. In summary, Coffee Dog is being abused according to New York State law, even though he may not show signs of physical abuse at the moment of inspection, such as when the ASPCA went to Mr. Fernandez's home. The dog was not in his garment. But the ASPCA was here today and witnessed everything that we witnessed, and we have examined state law. It is obvious this dog is being abused. End this coffee dog spectacle of abuse and violation in New York City. We absolutely will appeal to the ASPCA to do their job and violate Mr. Fernandez for exploiting coffee dog at Citifield and apparently at in the Yankees games as well. This has been Kay Riviello and Jolyn Estrada with the New York Animal Rights Alliance America on May 27th, 2011 at Citifield, reminding you that animals will never have justice until animals have rights. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.